Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, guys. So today we're not going to be having much session. It's just going to be on classes, and interestingly, we have our tutors available. All right. So everybody is here right now, and it's up to 10 reactions on present, and then we're going to start immediately. Okay, we're going to start immediately. Just tell me present, present. I want you guys to type present. Okay, start present. I want to see you guys start present. So with that, I'm going to start immediately on the class. Okay. So while waiting for our tutor, let me just quickly brief you and then talk to you guys. Don't forget that it's just about a few weeks to go for your jam, your UTME. The I've been hearing rumors about whether it's news or rumor about your UTME, and that's going to be holding probably after the second week of April, right? Meaning the beginning of the third week of April, you'll be starting your UTME, which is your jam exam. So that's going to happen, you know, 2 weeks after April, 4 weeks plus 2 weeks. That's 4 weeks of March plus 2 weeks of April, plus the rest of the other 2 weeks you have right now for the month of February. It means you just have about 8 weeks to go. So you should approximate that 8 weeks to go. That's about 60 days. Yes. Plus the number of the other days within, you have about 60 days to go. You multiply your 8 by 7, so that's about 56 to 60 days to go. So what have you learned in this 56 to 60 days to go? You guys should, study past question. If you are just joining for the first time, I would advise you to, check out our recent live video. Okay, you guys check out our recent live video. It's really going to help you out. Sincerely, it's really going to help you out. You know, jot some tips and then start your action immediately. Don't wait for one day. Let your one day be day one. Okay, now make your one day day one. Make today your day one. Don't wait for another day again. Yes, so start immediately. Orchestrate your plans and then start. Like, don't waste any time. It's just about 60 days to go. So you have the plan to get 320, 330, 340, and then you're not starting. It means that you're not really sincere about yourself, about your plans. So you should be committed sincerely. If you know you're committed and dedicated, then you should have the discipline to start and then be consistent. Okay, so you don't need to wait, because the more you wait, the more dangerous it gets. Okay, so to be able to secure that score, secure that grade, no matter how good you are, what you still need to do is you should start immediately. Okay, start your practice, start your classes. It's really going to help you. So I want you guys to type um, this thing. So just give me about some few seconds, and I'm going to continue with you guys. So I guess we can start. Okay. Second. So I'm still waiting for you guys. I'm waiting for your responses. Okay. I'm waiting for your responses. Type I'm present. I'm present. Our paper is available. I'm just waiting for you guys to, I'm waiting for you guys. I'm waiting for you guys. So present. So like I was saying earlier, don't forget, start immediately. And also, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe on our videos. Okay, you guys should subscribe on our YouTube channel. If you know you are currently online, you guys need to subscribe on the channel right now. You need to subscribe on the channel right now. Okay, subscribe right now. So the tutor will continue the class. Please subscribe right now, so that in case of our engagement, and why should you do subscribe? It will push us to know we have this audience, and also give us this sense of responsibility that there are a lot of students depending on what you are doing currently. So we're able to give you more content. And don't forget to join our WhatsApp channel too. We have WhatsApp groups. If you don't have any idea about it, like this is your first time, you see a number going through the screen. Okay, so you can chat up with the number. That's our study expert official number. Once you chat up with the number, I'm going to send you links to join our YouTube channel, our WhatsApp channels, and all, where you're going to see other things. And then for premium classes, for paid classes, they also have paid classes. So you can always, like, you can DM, send the message through WhatsApp, or yes, send the message through WhatsApp, and they are definitely going to respond to you immediately. Okay, you can send a message through WhatsApp. Have you just type a message in the YouTube? It goes through each of the comments, and they are going to respond to you. So in the next few seconds, our tutor we'll continue with the class. Thank you very much. It's going to introduce himself. I know you guys know him, so do not just waste time too much. All right, so we're starting right now.
Okay. Um, do I put this here? I think this works. All right. So I need to fill in my markers. I think this is okay. All right. Good afternoon, guys. So nice to actually have you back, and definitely I'm super excited to actually have this section with you. And obviously, we'll be talking about economics this day. Now, basically, we'll be talking about price system. Yeah. You might be thinking, but the topic that was being broadcasted was demand and supply, right? So why did I actually write price system? Actually, the topic is actually called price system, but popularly we all know it to be demand and supply. So demand and supply is just a part of price system. Price system is the main word that actually talks about the topic itself. Why demand and supply is just from a phrase in price system. So let's go into it because we are just behind time, right? And please do not hesitate to send your questions, especially those worrying questions that you might have. I know today's class is going to be short because it's just an hour. If you know you have any questions based on what we are going to do, or perhaps based on something that we might not actually cover, make sure you send those questions in. I'll be so happy to actually do them for you, and we can actually schedule another class to complete our demand and supply. Because to be honest, demand and supply can be completed within 1 hour, obviously. So let's get right into it. Now, I like to give out a lot of scenario when I'm actually taking classes. So do make sure to actually stick with me the most. Assuming you are in a desert. So let's assume this is a desert. And we have 100 people who are very tasty. Remember to note the word tasty. 100 people are very tasty. And they are all in the desert. And funny thing is, right in this desert, there is just one table water. I'm not sure. Do not mind my drawing. They are beautiful in my eyes. So, but they might not be to you, but still, it looks very good. There is only one table water. We have 100 people in a desert. Imagine exactly what is going to happen. Who do you think should get that table water? Is it the person that needs it the most? Do you think it's somebody that is very close to death that will actually get the table water? A chilled table water, remember. Do you think it is person that can pay the most that should get that table water? Remember, this is a question that is posed to you. And number three, do you think that the first person to get to this table water is the person that should have it? If any of those options comes to you and you think that one of those options is actually the best response to what I just said, you can type it in the comment section. Don't worry, I will surely see them. But the fact is, those answers that you might be thinking about who should get that table water is exactly what price system is actually here to solve. So it basically means that demand and supply talks about how the world is without chaos. I'm going to repeat that again. So demand and supply is here to tell us about how the world would be without chaos. Because if there is price as um, as a problem, then there will definitely be chaos in the world. So what we are trying to do is that demand and supply is trying to solve one simple problem. Now, if you do know, the thing is, the last session we did, I told you that know the why before you know the how. Do you remember that? Why demand and supply? Why exactly do I actually need to sit down to learn demand and supply as whether a commercial student or an art student? Why do you actually even need to do anything regarding economics in the first place to actually pass this? Remember, if you know the reason why, it becomes so very easy for you to pass the subject or to know the topic in depth. So why demand and supply? So the reason why there is demand and supply in the first place was because there is a topic previously. Remember, economics topics are actually sequential. You must know one thing but first before you actually go to the next thing. Let me remind you that the reason why there was economics in the first place, this guy, was because of something called scarcity. So if there was no scarcity in the first place, then there won't even be economics. So because there was scarcity, economics came into being, right? Fine. Then there must be something also for price system. Why am I doing price system? Why demand and supply? We are doing demand and supply because we want to make sure that we solve the issue relating to what? Relating to price. Think about it. Demand means I want something. Before I want something, there must be price attached to it. Supply means I want to supply something. Before I supply something, what is the price I'm putting down? So it means that demand and supply is there to actually solve that problem of pricing. So we call it price misery. Now, this price misery, because I do not actually want to go in depth talking about jargons, because really, if you go in depth, then this class will not be meant for jam class. Remember, we are only teaching what exactly you need. Why demand supply? Why is it that demand and supply is all about price misery? Why are we trying to solve anything relating to price? Actually, there is a man called Alfred Marshall. And if you go in depth, now do not mind me. I'm not going to go in depth. I just want to bring out something he said. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think one diamond is worth more, maybe times 1 million times, than a sachet of water? Even though we know that a sachet of water is necessary for me to survive, diamond is not necessary for me to survive. And yet, diamond is more expensive than me buying water. Why? Why is it that? So it means that that's reason why diamond is more expensive and why sachet of water is more cheaper is just something that we need to actually talk about when we talk about value and rarity. When something is valuable and when something is rare, their prices differs. Even though water is necessary for me to survive, water is cheaper. Even though diamond is not even ready for me to survive, diamond is actually even more expensive. But as I've said, that one is just by the way. That one is if we are talking about the A level, we start going in depth university level. But we're talking about jam classes here, right? So then let us go through those ones and just let us dive into what demand and supply is all about. So do not worry, that's the last time I'm going to go outside what we need to do. Yeah, it's still demand and supply, but that is me going in depth. Let's just talk about what a normal UTME student is going to need. When you talk about price system, as I've said, a statement comes to play. That statement was given by Adam Smith. And what is that statement? He said, now, if you get to see the screen, you will see that I've actually written so many words, right? Starting with, oh, what the hell is free market? And also starting with this guy here, demand and supply. But also you see something that is very familiar here, right? That I was talking about since morning. So it says, in a free market economy. Now the question would be, what is a free market economy? Remember I said topics in economics are actually sequential. So before demand and supply, you should have learned a topic called basic economic system. So basic economic system, one of the type of economic system we have is something called capitalism. Capitalism can also be called free markets. And if you remember what capitalism is all about, capitalism is when production, distribution, exchange, and consumption are being controlled by who? By individuals and firms, right? Exactly. Or private individuals, anyone you say. capitalism is exactly what is called free market. In that free market now is exactly what came into price system. In a free market economy, that means in a capitalist economy or in a capitalist state, prices of goods and services are fixed by how? Prices, you just don't wake up and say that, yes, I produce this marker and I'm going to be selling this marker for 200 naira. That's exactly, no, prices are not being fixed that way. Prices are fixed by the what? By the interaction of the forces of what? Of demand and supply. And that is where the word came out from, demand and supply. So we need to look at in depth of what is demand and what exactly does it mean by supply. And that's exactly what we'll be doing. So this statement, you need to know it. Why? Because in a free market, we are talking about capitalist state. So it means that we cannot say demand and supply exist in a socialist state. Remember, socialist means that government controls the production, distribution, exchange, and consumption, right? So government fixes the price of that. In a capitalist state, prices are fixed by when demand and supply interact. So do not think that this works for socialist or mixed economy. It definitely would work for mixed economy because mixed economy is when you actually add capitalist and what and socialist together, right? So definitely some part of it would actually have this. But what we need to look in depth is that demand and supply came out from these statements. Now let's now go in depth. What exactly is demand? Yeah, this is a very good question, right? Almost every year, everybody would know what demand is. You know, I've always had one philosophy, and that philosophy, I think that it's going to be so meaningful to anyone that listens to it. For everything, for anything that you're learning, as far as it's actually English language, for anything that is being used in that topic, it must have a direct meaning to that particular word. Look, I said demand. In English, what does demand mean? If you can know what demand means in English, then definitely you already know what demand means in economics. Why? Because there is so many similarity of that word. So what does demand means actually? Demand means I want something, right? Exactly. Now, if somebody were to ask you a question in JAM and asking you that demand relates to dash, does demand relate to consumers or producers? What do you think would be the perfect answer for that? Remember, demand means I want something. Now, who wants something? Consumers or producers? I'm sure the answers come to your mind already. Consumers, right? So definitely you will know that demand talks about consumers, then definitely supply will be talking about who? The producers. At least that's a step for this class. If you know that, that means you've actually taken a step to understanding what demand and supply is. Now, the next question will now be, what is the economics meaning of demand, right? Exactly. So demand is the specific quantity, or you say is the quantity a what a consumer is willing and what and able to buy. So demand is the quantity a consumer is willing and able to buy at a given price or at a particular price and at a particular period of what? At a particular period of time. Basically, right? Now let's now move forward a little bit after this. Now it means that demand basically means that I must want something and I must be able to buy it. Let me give you a very good scenario. Yeah, I like this scenario a lot because it makes me always exhibit my drawing. I just drew some people for you, right? I just drew water bottle not quite long. So I like drawing a lot too, to give out scenarios. Now, assuming you saw one shoe while you're going inside the market, and let me say this is the shoe. Well, I'm not being biased, but this is an high heel shoe. Do not mind the drawing, it looks beautiful to me though. So this shoe is very good and very expensive. It's very beautiful, as you can see. Okay, I need to do something here. Let's just say that this is my shoe. Now you were walking through the market and you saw this beautiful luxury shoe and you actually approached the woman selling the shoe or the bookshop selling the shoe, and you were like, "Oh, sorry, ma, how much is this shoe? Because it really caught your attention, right?" Now, when you asked the woman said, "This shoe is worth 50,000." Let me just use that as an example. The shoe is worth 50,000. Then two scenarios happen. Number one scenario. So let me call it scenario one. Scenario one is the moment she said it's 50,000, you just told the woman, "Oh, I'm coming, but I'll definitely come back." You know how we do, right? Especially when we don't have money to buy some things that we actually price. Actually, that is exactly what happened. You told the woman you are going to come back. And scenario two, for scenario two, immediately she said 50,000, you dipped your hand into your pocket, or perhaps you bring out your phone and you transferred the 50,000 to the woman. So it means that you paid immediately she said 50,000. Now, those two scenarios are jam questions. Let me ask you the first one. The first one, you wanted the shoe, but you could not buy the shoe. That's why you told the woman that definitely you are going to come back to buy the shoe, which me and you know that you are definitely not going to come back. It's gone. You would not come to that woman because you don't even have that money. But the second scenario, the moment she said 50,000, what happened? You paid almost immediately. That's scenario one. In economics, we say you are willing to buy the shoe because you wanted the shoe, right? Yeah, you want it. But are you able to buy it? No. So we call that type of demand ineffective demand. So for scenario one, you are willing, but what? Not able. So what is it called then? In a word, we call it ineffective demand. Ineffective demand means that you want something, but you are not able to buy it. Why for scenario two, when you actually paid, is what is exactly called effective demand. It means that you want something and you are able to buy it. That type of demand is exactly what we are doing here. Because the definition of demand says that you must be willing and you must be what? Able. It means that demand does not talk about ineffective demand. In economics, the demand that we are talking about is what? Is the effective demand. So at least you know some other thing after the first step just now, right? The second thing you have learned just now is there are two forms of demand. I did not say types of demand. Two forms of demand: ineffective demand, effective demand. Ineffective means I want something, but I'm not able to buy it. I think everybody has ineffective demand. Remember, you want that Lamborghini, right? You want that Versace, you want that Gucci shirt, you want anything that you are thinking you want right now, but you are not able to buy it. It means that you have ineffective demand. But the moment you want something and you are able to pay for it, to buy it almost immediately, then that is exactly what is called what? Effective demand. And I think with this, you already understood what demand is all about right now. At least the intro just gives you the almost overview of everything that I'm about to say. Now let's go deeper now. Now we are looking at jam, right? So let's go deeper into how we needed to look at it with jam eyes or with UTME eyes. Now, from this definition, what do you notice? There are some keywords that I really want you to that I want to point out there. What is that? Number one, quantity, and number two, price. When you say quantity and when you say price, it means that that's two things are the things that we need to look out for when it comes to demand. Remember, you want something. The next question will be, what is the price of what you want and how many do you want? I'm going to repeat that again so that you can easily get it. You want something, right? That's what demand is all about. The question would be, how many did you want? And what is the price of what you want? If you can know those two, then definitely that is everything you need to know, right? Exactly what we'll be doing right now. It means that the two things we need to look out for when we are talking about demand is something called the quantity and something called the what? The price. And this will take me to the law of demand right now. What is the law of demand? I'm sure this is the best thing everybody knows. Funny how is a science student even knows the law of demand. Now, the law of demand states that the higher the price, right, the lower the quantity demanded. The lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. But people are really forgetting something. And what is that thing? What is that thing is that law you just quoted is actually not correct. Now, do not misquote me. That law is perfectly fine. But before you quote any law, there is something that needs to be said before you quote any law, provided that condition stays. That's what that condition is. Before I can say that the Newton law, before I can say any law, there are conditions that are placed before you can quote that law. And for demand, before you can quote the law of demand, a condition called ceteris paribus is there. What does ceteris paribus really mean? Ceteris paribus means that all other things being equal. That's exactly what ceteris paribus is. So it means that all things being equal, this law would work. But have you forgotten? Let me take you back to Introduction to Economics. Introduction to Economics says that human wants are insatiable, right? Remember the definition of Lionel C. Robbins that says that economics is a science which studies human behavior, blah, 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 blah. We are still going to have a class on this. Is a science which studies human behavior. Human behavior changes a lot. You know, I was having an argument with someone one day, and he was like, what is the thing that is so difficult to change in people? And I told the person, the behavior. Do you agree with me? Do you think that behavior is the most difficult thing to change in people? Actually, yes, because behaviors cannot be predicted. You cannot predict what a person would do just because he has been doing it before now. That is not how human behavior works, or that is not how human nature is. As human, we change a lot, and that is the reason why we are called humans, because our behavior changes. So this law would only work if that condition is placed. If you do not place that condition to say that ceteris paribus, okay, oh, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded, then your law is actually very wrong. So this ceteris paribus is what is known as all other things being equal. Should I shock you? In your jam pass question, that is just right in front of me, there is a question that asks about why is there ceteris paribus in that definition, or why is it that the law of demand says that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Do not worry. If there is enough time for us, we are definitely going to treat some questions after we are done. So let's move forward from there. I just said that the law states that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, right? The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Do not mind my arrows because I like using arrows rather than writing it out. The higher the price is too long. Why don't I just use arrows to depict what I want to depict? If price keeps on going up, what happens to quantity demanded? It comes down, right? And this is what everybody knows. The moment price goes up, I tend to buy little. The moment price comes down, I tend to buy many. Very perfect. And if price comes down, just like we said just now, if price comes down, what happens to this one? It goes up. Now let me point out something in what I've just done. What do you notice to price and quantity demanded? When price is going up, quantity keeps falling, right? When price falls, what happens to quantity demanded? It keeps going up. It means that when one is going up, the other is coming down. When the first one is coming down, the other is going up. What kind of relationship do they have? Do they have any relationship? Is there any relationship between price and quantity demanded? Yes. And that relationship is also an examination question on its own in JAM. So they can ask, what relationship exists in demand? I'm going to repeat that again. What relationship exists in demand? If you have been asked that question, your simple answer is to check the law of demand. The law of demand says if price is going up, what happens to quantity? Comes down. If price is coming down, what is happening to quantity? It's going up. It means that both of them, they are not going the same way every single time. If one is going up, the other is coming down. If one is coming down, the other is going up. Then what relationship is that? It means that they have a negative or what? An inverse relationship. They do not actually have to, they don't go the same way. And because they're not going the same way, that's a negative relationship. They are, you know what they normally talk about, the negative attract, right? Exactly. So I need to write it here to tell you that in demand, there is actually a negative, or you call it what? Inverse relationship. Now, note, as I've said, this is also a jam question on its own. Very simple to know, right? And I think there is nothing that we have actually been doing right now that you don't have something to learn. At least I've said three things that you can actually put in your head just from the time I started and now. And from everything that I've said, they're actually pointing out to questions that I've come across or while I've actually been teaching, especially to UTME students. So please do very well to actually listen and actually listen to my scenarios. As I've said, I love scenarios a lot. So scenarios will make you understand it better. Another thing to learn, except from your law of demand, is for me to actually go to something called um, demand schedule. What does demand schedule? What does it mean? Now let me break it down. Because this is UTME, we are not doing jam, right? I say we are not doing jam. We are not doing WAEC. I don't need to start giving you definitions for every single thing I'm going to write. So your best bet is just make sure you listen to what you really need. Make sure you listen to the parts that really make sense to you. Especially everything I'm going to say would be making sense because everything I'm saying is due to questions I've come across in your past question. So when it comes to demand schedule, I'm not going to write any definition. You can just basically listen. Now let me ask a simple question. What does schedule mean? You know, when somebody comes to you and tell you that, Laura, I need to see you. Now, can you create a time for me? You know, the best response that you've always given out would be, oh, let me check my schedule, give you a timing. That means demand table, Abby. And demand table looks like this. That is when you normally see something like this. Price, quantity demanded. I'm sure people that have done elasticity, this will look familiar to you. If you see something like this is actually called demand schedule. But when they ask you, what's demand schedule? So demand schedule is actually, remember, take it from the scratch, then take it up. Demand schedule is a table. Should be schedule is a table. Obviously, I'm picking it from there. Demand schedule is a table that shows what? It shows the relationship between what and what. Remember what we said here. Demand talks about just two things. What and quantity. I'll say demand schedule is a table that shows the relationship between what? Quantity demanded and price. Remember, let me finish up that definition again for the last time. Demand schedule is a table that shows the relationship between what? Quantity demanded and price on what? On rows and column. And that is it. You are basically done. I still don't know why some actually have to sit down to memorize definitions in economics, because if you do understand it, it becomes very easy to actually just put in your head if you really need to actually put it in your head. Understand the reason why so that the how can be simple. Remember what we've said before now. If I really understand what schedule means and what demand is, it makes it easier for me to put up definitions together, even if that definition is not a textbook definition. And I'm still going to have the full mark. That is to the Y student, but we are not doing Y here. So this question can also be asked, asking you that dash is a table that shows the relationship between price and quantity. You already know the answer. And the last thing of our introduction is to talk about something called what? Demand curve. You see, everything I'm still doing is still basic. What is demand? Like the intro of demand, basically, right? So, but today's class is all about talking about demand and supply one. I'm putting one at the back because obviously, maybe we are going to have 3 good classes for demand and supply before we can finish up. But for now, let's continue. Demand curve. Demand curve would be what? Obviously, I'm sure I'm not speaking to novice people here. I'm sure everybody here have a basic understanding of what demand is before now, because you really want to write the next jam, right? Everybody knows that this is how demand looks like. Now, how could they ask question based on demand curve? They'll tell you that now demand curve slopes what? That's the question. Demand curve slopes dash. Demand curve slopes from the what? If you see me facing the board, you see that I draw it from here to here, right? So I'm taking it from my left to my what? To my right. Do you need to memorize anything? Nothing. You don't need to. So it is sloping what? Downward. From what? From left to what? To right. And I've answered that question, that jam question already. Don't worry, we are going to come across all of this when we are done. So you are going to see that all of these things are actually easy to actually put up. Demand curve slopes downward from left to right. Now, does anybody have any idea what is always on the y-axis and the x-axis? I'm pretty sure some of you knows exactly what is there, but let's see then. So on the y-axis, I have my what? I have my price. Exactly, that's exactly what is on the x-axis, right? On the x-axis, I'm having what? Some people got that quantity demanded. If you don't know how why it's or why is it that price is here, why is it that quantity is here, why is it that we even have to do something called demand curve in the first place? Now we need to do something called demand curve because mostly economics are actually represented with graphs. You know what I like the most when I'm doing exam, especially when it comes to economics? Set graph questions. Graph questions are so easy to pick an answer for. Why? Because graph will tell you exactly what you need. See, no matter how complex that graph is, it is so easy if you really know that topic. If I know demand and supply, no matter how complex they are going to draw demand and supply curve, you definitely. Now let's go to the main event of today. And what is that? Going to something called types of demand. I'm sure after types of demand and factors affecting demand, we should be up by time and we should start solving questions. Now let's see. I never said that. Remember, God is watching. So what I did say was that demand actually have form, effective and what? Ineffective, right? Effective, we explained it. Ineffective, we also explained it. Now we are talking about types of demand, right? For types of demand, we basically have just 4 types of demand. And that 4, let it ring in your head because it's so simple that you really just need, you don't even need to even sit down to learn them. Right now, you can easily just learn everything you need to learn regarding those 4 types of demand. And I'll be starting with the first one. So the first one is called what? Derived demand. Now for derived demand, what exactly is derived demand? Now, as I've said, when I started, I told you that anything you are learning, as far as it is English language, the meaning of that thing is already in the English word itself. Remember, I said what is demand? In English, demand means I want something, right? Definitely, derive would mean also what? Should be derive. If I were to ask you, what does derive mean? Now, let me ask you, what do you think derive means? I'm sure you should be typing your response in the comment section, right? Tell me exactly what you think derive would mean. I'm not saying you should define derive demand. What does derive in English? What does it really mean? Exactly, I'm seeing some. So derive would mean basically that's what I'm getting something from something, right? Yeah, that is very good. Another person would be okay, what? What? Yeah, you actually are extracting something from something. Very good. But the thing is, all of you are very correct because that is just the English word of what derive is. I'm getting something from something. I'm deriving something from something. Now the question will now be, what are you deriving? And how does it relate to economics? Derived demand would mean I want something, but what I want should be demand means I want something. Now join it with derive. I want something, but what I want is gotten from another thing. I think we've pretty much explained what derive is already. So it's that simple actually. Now listen again. Derive means I want something. I said derive means I want something. Derive means you are getting something from something, right? Demand means you want something. Now join them together. You want something, but that thing is gotten from something else. A very good example. If I tell you that I want bread, what do you think I need to have first before I actually have bread? I know some of you will tell me I need money. No, we are not talking about that here. What do you think you need to have before you actually have that bread? Obviously, the The answer would be you need flour, right? Because flour is exactly what is needed to make that bread. Now, if you have flour, then definitely the bread will be out. Now, let me try to think of other things again. If you want, let's say you want, nothing is even coming to my head. You shall know something already, right? If you want something, but that thing is gotten from another thing, then definitely that thing would be an example of what? Derived demand. But how does JAM set question when it comes to derived demand? Now, let me give you an example. A very good example would be if I want bridge, let me write it. If I want bridge, what do you think I need to have before I can have my bridge? Can I have some answers? Let's see, maybe there's anybody that is going to get my answer actually. If you actually want bridge, what do you think I really need to have before I can have my bridge? Yeah, water, yeah, cement, yes, sand. Actually, yes. Those things are very vital when you really want your bridge. But think about it. If you have all of those things and you don't have somebody, all of those things you have is pretty much useless. And what do you need before you can have that bridge? What I really need before I can have the bridge is something called what? Labor. If there is labor, my bridge can be done. Note, I did not say that the water, the cement, the sand are not useful. I said even if you have those ones and you don't have your labor, then what happens? You won't still have the bridge. So basically, bridge, labor, both of them would be an example of what? Derived demand. How does JAM now set question? The JAM would be like, factor of production is an example of what type of demand? That is basically the question. I'm going to repeat that again. Factor of production is an example of what type of demand? Now I said factor of production. How many factors of production do we have? We have basically four now. We have capital, labor, entrepreneur, and what? What's the last one? Very good. And land, right? Now I said labor, but I did something on the board. I wrote labor, that I needed labor before I can have my bridge. Labor is an example of factor of production. So definitely, factor of production is an example of derived demand. Now think about it. Is there anything in this world that goes through production and factor of production is not needed in producing that thing? Think about it. Even this marker that I'm holding, somebody must have produced this marker. Obviously, that is the labor, right? They must have produced this marker somewhere. That is the land. Obviously, they must have started that business of producing marker. That is the capital. And the last one, the entrepreneur. Now think of anything, including your phone. They must have produced the phone somewhere. That's the land. Somebody must have produced that phone. That's the labor. It means that almost everything in this world that goes through production have gone through what? Factor of production. That is the reason why factor of production is a very good example of what? Derived demand, obviously. That's very good. Now you guys already know the fifth thing in this class already. And I think we can actually catch up from there, right? Now let's start going through the staircase already. Now the next thing, another type of demand, is exactly what is called competitive demand. For competitive demand means that this is actually a type of demand where two commodities are closely related. Remember, from the word competition, competitive means when two things are actually fighting for something. Chibi, do you remember when you were in school that you're actually fighting for first position? So all of you in the class are competing for one or the first position. It means that all of you want the same thing, and it's only one person that they can give first position, except you guys got the same thing, obviously. But competitive demand means that when two or more commodities are serving the same purpose. A very good example. Everybody knows this. Milo, Bonfita, Ovaltine, all of those beverages, are they not doing the same? They are all beverages. It means that if I quickly just think about, I want to take tea, I should be thinking about Milo, Bonfita, Ovaltine. It's now left to me to go and get the one I want to get, right? Now let's pick an example of that because this is JAM class. What do I really need to know when it comes to competitive demand? Remember, this is jam. Nobody will ask you that competitive demand means what. It's too simple, even for a WAEC student. Now let's see. Milo and Bonfita, they do the same thing, right? They serve the same purpose. Milo serve the purpose of beverage. Definitely Bonfita to serve the purpose of beverage. It means that I can either take Milo or I say I take Bonfita. I know you have your own reservation. Some people here will be thinking, no, Milo is better than Bonfita. Keep your reservation to yourself. The thing is, both of them, they are sharp beverage. That's what we should look at. It means that if I don't want to take Milo, I can take what? Exactly. Just look at it from that angle. Just know that whichever one you want, that is just you. Now, try to learn something this time around because it gets a little bit complicated here. Milo Bonfita are competitive products. Remember what I said about competitive demand, right? I said this is when two or more commodities are what? Are close substitutes. Do you remember that? It means that if I don't want to call it competitive demand, some will call it substitute. The cocoa is that two products can do the same thing, right? Milo Bonfita. Now let me ask a question that you can't find out in your jam. If there is increase in the price of Milo, now the next question will be, what exactly is going to happen to Bonfita? Assuming this is actually a question to you. If there is increase in the price of Milo, I'm putting the question to you. What exactly do you think would happen to Bonfita? I would have said I needed to give some seconds to actually pick my answers from the comment section, but I think that would actually take a long time because we need to move very fast because we are behind time, right? If there is increase in the price of Milo, what exactly would happen to Bonfita? Let me make it more simpler. Assuming before I said there was increase in price of Milo, 100 people are buying Milo and 80 people buys Bonfita. Remember, I'm trying to make it more simpler. This is more or less like a scenario. Before the price increase, that means before Milo increases its price, 100 people always buy Milo, 80 people always buy Bonfita. The next question will now be, if they increase the price of Milo, what would happen to Bonfita? Let me take you back a little bit. Remember the definition of demand. The higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, right? Exactly. Now use that law to answer this question. If Milo increases its price, what will happen to Milo? Remember, I'm not talking about what will happen to Bonfita now. What would happen to Milo itself? Obviously, yes, it's exactly what you are thinking. There will be a reduction in the quantity demanded of Milo, right? Because if Milo's price go up, what happen will leave Milo actually? Some will still stick with Milo. Let's now assume that 20 people left Milo. They are not buying Milo. If 20 people do not buy Milo because Milo increases its price, let me ask you, where do you think those 20 will go? That means if I minus 20 people here, it means that only 80 people will be buying Milo. These 20, where do you think they will go? Or what do you think they will be buying next? Exactly. They will come to where? They'll start buying Bonfita because Bonfita has not changed its price. Remember we said if there is increase in the price of Milo, what will happen to Bonfita? These 20 people that will leave Milo, where will they go to? They'll go to Bonfita. It means that I'll be having what? I'll be having 100 people now buying Bonfita. So what has happened then? The question is, if there is increase in the price of Milo, what is exactly happening to Bonfita? There will be increase in quantity demanded of what? Of Bonfita. Remember, before it was 80, now the people that they are buying Bonfita now, they are now 100. It means that the quantity has increased. And this is exactly what we need. I need you to focus regarding that part. If there is increase in the price of Milo, question, what is happening to Bonfita? What is happening to Bonfita is that the quantity demanded of Bonfita will what? Will also increase. Why? Because people will stop buying Milo. Those people will switch to Bonfita. Now, jam question. What relationship exists in competitive demand? That's the next question. What relationship do you think exists in competitive demand like this? Let me take you back a little bit. Remember when we did law of demand? It's still on the board actually. I told you that in demand, what relationship exists in demand? Negative or inverse relationship. Why is it negative or inverse? Because if there is increase in price, what happens? There will be reduction in quantity demanded, right? That means if one is going up, the other is coming down. If one is coming down, the other is going up. That's why it is negative. But check this one, competitive demand. If there is increase in the price of Milo, what happens to Bonfita? There is increase in quantity demanded of Bonfita. So what relationship exists between them like this? This is a positive relationship. Why? As one is going up, the second one too is what? Is going up. Exactly. This positive relationship. It means that if the price of Milo should come down, what will happen to? People will leave Bonfita and switch to Milo. That means there will also be what? Reduction in quantity demanded of Bonfita. I'm not sure if that really makes sense to you. If it does not make sense, just look at it this way. Another type of demand is competitive demand, and I bring out two examples that you would really relate with. Milo, Bonfita. Milo increases its price. What will happen to Bonfita? That's the next question. The next question, that answer to that question would be that people will leave Milo. Why? Because the law of demand says that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. If Milo increases the price, it means that people will leave Milo. Where will those people go? They'll go to Bonfita. It means that the quantity demanded of Bonfita will rise. And that is the reason why I said if there is increase in the price of Milo, it will lead to what? Increase in quantity demanded of Bonfita. And also vice versa. This is where JAM sets their question. What relationship exists in competitive demand is what? Positive relationship. It's very simple, right? Exactly. The next type of demand is exactly what is called complementary or what? Or joint. For complementary or joint had said itself also. Remember joint. It means I'm taking two things at once. So joint or complementary means two products I'm taking together, basically. If I'm taking two products together, it means that both of them I can't actually do with one without the other. I know the best example they've always given you in school would be bread and butter, shoe and whatever. But me, I will actually want to use some perfect substitute products. Sorry, perfect complementary products rather. Like what? So I'll be using something like gun and bullets. Now, gun and bullet. What does gun and bullet really mean? Maybe this is a perfect example of what complementary or joint is. I must consume gun and bullet together before they actually a product. I'm not sure. Let me just ask this. Have you seen somebody that went to rob a bank and instead of holding gun, he held bullet in his hand and he's shouting, lie down, lie down, lie down with bullets. What do you think you would do if you were in that bank? I'm sure you will give him a very hot slap. Perhaps he does not know that he's holding bullets instead of gun. Exactly. It means that if somebody is holding bullets without gun, it's pretty much useless. And also, if somebody is holding gun, now note, you cannot know maybe there is bullets inside the gun, so do not go and slap the person. If somebody is holding gun and you know in your mind that there is no bullets, you can also still give the person slap because obviously you can't rob a bank with just an empty gun. So what we are trying to say is that gun is useless without bullets. Likewise, bullet is useless without gun. Let me try what I did here again then. What do you think will happen? You know what? Let me just do it this way. What do you think will happen if there is increase in the price of bullets? Now think about it. If there is increase in the price of bullets, what will happen? How will it affect gun? Because that's the question. If there is increase in the price of bullets, how would it affect gun? Yeah, think about it from the small way before you actually start thinking about the big way. Do not come and think about gun first. No, think about bullets itself. If there is increase in the price of bullets, what will happen to bullets? People will not buy bullets, right? Exactly. Some people will not buy bullets again. That's some people that will not buy bullets. Now let me ask a question. Would they be buying gun? That's the question. Do you think they will go and be buying gun? Obviously not. If I'm not buying bullets, why would I need a gun without bullets? So if I'm buying bullets, obviously I want to go and buy gun. But if I'm not buying bullets, why the hell will I be buying gun then? Exactly. It means that the moment there is increase in the price of bullets, people will not buy bullets again, Abi. People will not buy bullets again. They will also not buy gun. The only thing that will happen is that the only people that will be buying gun are the people that remain buying bullets. Because if I do not buy bullets, I don't have any reason to go and buy gun. So if there is increase in the price of bullets, it will lead to what? Decrease in quantity demanded of what? Of gun. Why is it decrease in quantity demanded? Remember what I just said. If there is increase in the price of bullets, people will not buy bullets. Gun did not change its own price. Oh. Remember, gun price is still the same price. But because gun is always affected by bullets, if people are not buying bullets, then they will not come and buy a gun. That means it has reduced the quantity demanded of gun. If there is increase in the price of bullets, it will lead to what? Decrease in quantity demanded of gun. Now, the next question in JAM. What relationship exists in complementary or joint demand? So what relationship is this? As you can see, the moment there is increase in price, what happens to this one? Reduction in quantity demanded. Obviously, if there is reduction in price also for this one, what happens to this one? Increase in quantity demanded, right? So it means that this one is having a what? A negative or what? Or inverse relationship. Simple to know. And the last one is actually the most easiest one out of every one of them, and that is what? Saying that this is when a product can serve more than one purpose, right? That's exactly what composite is. So give me some examples like that, you know, that a product can serve so many purposes. Flour is an example, salt is an example, sugar is an example. You can use them in so many things, right? Exactly. So that's just composite. You see, I'm not even stressing myself on composite. Composites, when a product can serve so many purposes, basically. So the only two things I really need to mind are these two guys and this one, obviously. Very simple. The last thing to actually now stop the class is for me to talk about what are the factors affecting demand. And I think this one I could just easily use my mouth instead of actually writing. What are the factors that makes you want to buy what you buy? What are the things that make you to buy things that you buy? That's the next question. That ice cream you ate this morning, that food you ate this morning that you went to buy, what are the things that makes you buy them? Now, don't tell me because I'm hungry. That's the glitch, right? What makes you buy things? What makes you buy things that you buy? Number one, the price of the product. Price is number one thing that makes you buy things, that makes you buy what you want. Number two thing is price of other commodities. Imagine I want to buy Milo and they tell me that Milo is 200. And I just, perchance, I just asked the Aboki man that, how much is Bonfita? And he told me that Bonfita is 100 naira. What do you think I'll do? I'll switch, right? So price of other commodity has affected my demand. Remember, what did I really want in the first place? I wanted Milo. But the price of other commodity has influenced me to buy something else. So number one, price affects your demand. I just said it. Number two, price of other commodities. Number three, remember we are consumer. What is going to affect my demand is what is called income, my income basically. So income of the consumer is also affecting your demand. Income of consumer means the more I have more, what happens to my demand? The more I actually buy. If I have 50,000, what I will buy will only be having a limit of 50,000. If I have 1 million, I'll buy something worth 1 million. So it means that my demand is being affected by the money I have. What else? So many tastes, habits, weather condition. Remember when you buy sweater last? It was because there was cold or harmattan. It influenced your demand. What else again? So many things. Government policy, population, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is exactly where I'm going to actually put a stop because this is talking about the first part of demand. And I put it, so I tag it to be demand one or demand and supply one. So if you have any question based on what we have done, yeah, I said I'm going to pick some few questions or few questions in the past question, but because of time, I really saw that time has really gone. And we still have another tutor that will come take you guys physics, right? So maybe by next class, then I'll be picking some few questions before I actually start the class. But for now, I really do hope you actually enjoy the class. And you really understood everything I've done in today's class, because that will be my great joy for you to really understand everything I've said. So from our next class, we'll just pick up from factors affecting demand. But before that, we'll just pick some questions and we move on to demand and supply too. And yes, if you still have some questions that you think that you cannot wait until the next class, drop them in the comment section, drop them wherever you think you're joining from. Definitely, I'm going to respond to them. See you.
Wow. So thank you very much. That was an interesting session, I guess. So for economics teacher, I really say thank you. And for you all who have enjoyed it with the patience, and I hope you enjoyed the class. Okay. So always, be with us by subscribing to the YouTube channel. And also, you guys should also try as much as possible to message the number on the screen if you want to join our live group. Okay, so we have a group where we send useful messages and updates, and also we have a WhatsApp channel. If you're already on our WhatsApp group, I would invite you guys to join our WhatsApp channel. Now, implore you guys to join our WhatsApp channel, where you see some other updates apart from the live classes where they might be. Sincerely, there are a lot of other things you can benefit from us. So, in what way can you help us? You can help us out by subscribing and sending the link out to those people you believe they will also benefit from this class. Okay, so send the link out. You can share the link, you can share the videos to people that you know they're going to benefit. Join our classes, join our groups, and also send the link out for other people to join. Okay, so very soon we'll be starting the physics class, but I'm going to put the economics class, we're going to put it to hold for today, for this week. And then in the upcoming classes, you're going to expect more videos on economics and other subjects. Yes, it's not just economics. We'll be starting physics, and then probably next class we'll do another set of subjects. If you have any question whatsoever, whether based on economics or other subjects, you can always send a message to that number, and then we'll be able to add you to the live group. The live session WhatsApp group, and then any question you have, the tutors are always available to answer you in real time. They are there to answer you in real time. Okay. So if you have any question whatsoever, you can send a message via WhatsApp to the number on the screen. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video out. Okay. So with this, we are coming to the end of the economics class for this week. Okay. So but questions can always come in. All right. Questions can always come in. So we're starting very soon. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, we'll be starting physics class. Okay. Thank you very much. And we're really happy to have you here.